What is going on, everybody? This is Jackson, Andrew, and Chase from Dinger Dudes. And today we have a very special episode. We're previewing the World Series, recapping the Dodgers and Brewers series, and giving our predictions for the rest of the ALCS. But we are joined by West Georgia baseball alum Brendan Parks and recently of the Trenton Thunder. How's your day going? And congrats on a great MLB Draft League season, Brendan.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. Had a great time playing up there and looking forward to what's next and excited to be on here talking to you guys.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you on. Now we actually have a special guest jumping in the episode to say hi in a little bit. He'll hop on in a little bit, but I do want to kind of before we get into the NLCS and ALCS talk, I wanted to ask you, how did you feel about heading into the MLB Draft League? Because I saw you and Dozy Drakeford got invited, and I've done a lot of interviews with previous. Oh, actually, he's joining right now. How'd you feel about that draft league season?
Yeah, it was great going into it. Um, what's up, Carson? How are you?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh gosh, going into it, I didn't know what to expect. I knew it was going to be good talent. I knew I was going to get to play in some cool parks and play with some cool people. And I'd never been to New Jersey, so for me, it was kind of like going in with a blank slate and trying something new. And started off a little rocky in a new role as a starter, which at West Georgia I was primarily late relief closer. And going in there as a starter started off a little rocky, but kind of went back to where I was comfortable in the pen and finished up really well and had a great time and learned a ton, which I think is going to set me up going forward really well. So, yeah.
That's really awesome to hear, and it's really interesting with the MLB Draft League because I know the first half of the season it's a completely different roster than the second half of the season. So it's really awesome to hear that you had a great experience and especially developmental learning when it came to your kind of sense of pro ball. But we actually have your former West Georgia teammate joining us here, Mr. Carson Crossley. Carson, thank you so much for taking time to join, man. How's your day going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me. Hey, did you ask him his favorite cookie yet?
We have not. But you know what? I will ask him. Brendan, what's your favorite cookie?
Can never go wrong with good chocolate chip cookie.
Mm.
What you think, Carson?
Yeah, chocolate chip. We actually, because we played junior college together, one
Mhm.
of our teammates, he'd bring a huge bag of cookies from home his mom made. And me and Brenda, I'd go in there and like sack them because we shared a room, and we would end up just eating the cookies, all of them. And my roommate, he would get so pissed, but that was our thing.
Nice.
Mm.
Nice.
You can never go wrong with a good chocolate chip cookie.
No.
Never. Andrew,
Solid
Chase,
take.
you like chocolate chip cookies before we dive into
I
some
think I
baseball
think it's
talk?
a solid take, man. I mean, stick with the classic. No need to switch it up, man. I mean,
That's right.
in terms of cookies, I can't think of a better one. So yeah,
I'm
W.
more of an oatmeal raisin guy.
Of course you
I'm
are,
I'm
dude.
totally
Wow.
joking. I'm totally joking. By the
Weird.
way, I'm totally joking. Chocolate chip all the way.
Okay. Okay.
Oatmeal raisins too healthy for Carson.
That's
That's right.
100% right.
If you're gonna enjoy a cookie, bro, why are you trying to make it healthy? I mean, that's just
Yeah.
all kinds of backwards.
No nuts, raisins. I want chocolate and sugar.
Dude, amen. Amen. We're at the right
Now,
group.
Keep it the way it's meant to be.
100%. Now, before we get into NLCS and ALCS, Brendan, I actually have a question for you. Actually, a question that was thrown in the chat after we announced you were going to be on the show. Cam, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It starts with a Y. I'm pretty sure you can
Urine.
figure that out.
Urine.
Uran. Uran. He wanted me to ask you about your high rise fastball. Can you go in a little bit in depth into that after this league with the Trenton Thunder?
Yeah. So Cam Uran is a total troll, by the way.
Hmm.
So I
Uh-oh.
I was fired up one day during a start and was hitting the bottom of the zone with a fastball. I thought they were all strikes. And when you have a fastball that profiles high spin, it has a tendency to look like it's riding to a hitter. And a lot of the times hitters and even umpires will give up on it at the bottom of the zone because they think it's going to, be low and ends up staying on plane. And I was upset with the calls, and I looked at my catcher and I said, "Hey, when you go back there next time, you need to tell that umpire that I'm throwing a right heater. He needs to look out for it at the bottom." And everybody thought it was the funniest thing. So Cam Uran, shout out, good troll there.
Yeah, I did. I did just want to ask that because I saw it in the
Yeah,
comments that he told me to ask you about that. So
absolutely.
we'll throw that in there. Now,
Why
I'll
was
let
I?
you
How did I never know that story?
because I can't tell stories like that to you.
Oh.
it's insane. But I do want to get into dive into championship series. Obviously, we saw the Dodgers and the Brewers, a complete sweep, by the way. And me and Andrew were the only ones to predict that the Dodgers were going to make the World Series. Chase down here. I want to hear a little bit of a defense after saying that the Brewers were going to win in six.
That's actually I didn't say six. I actually said seven. Um, and here's my defense. I'm
You still got to
sorry.
win 3 games to take it to 7.
Oh, I was totally thrown
Mm.
off, y'all. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Well, Big Four State fans, I literally just saw a notification that Mike Norvell was fired.
You're joking.
Dead serious. That literally just
Wow.
popped up on my phone. Sorry, that just completely threw me off guard. Anyway, I'll get back on subject. So in the last episode, I did make a wild prediction. I said it was a hot take that the Brewers would win in 7. I said only if they can do what they did to the Dodgers in the regular season and somehow get in their bullpen early. Well, if you watch any of the series, obviously none of that happened. Every starter, game 1, 2, 3, and 4 went deep for the Dodgers, and they didn't use their bullpen to the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, and that's why the Brewers got torched. So I did say only if that happens. Clearly didn't happen, which is odd though because the Brewers went 6-0 against the Dodgers in the regular season, and every Dodger starter that started against the Brewers in the regular season had a horrible start. They didn't make it past the 4th inning. Obviously, this is the postseason. The stakes are higher, and that clearly showed for LA. I think it just proves even more that regardless if it's Seattle or Toronto, I don't know if I can confidently say right now that anyone's taking out the Dodgers because there's really not. You could argue that their bullpen is a weak point for the Dodgers only because they did struggle slightly and this postseason just slightly. Because you look at game 1 against Milwaukee, bullpens what gave Milwaukee to even open a door, even a chance to win that game. But I mean that's just a slight issue. That might not even be an issue if their starters continue to play they have on the mound. So it's and Jackson, there you are at the Dodgers hat once again. Not a Dodgers fan, by the way.
I'm not.
But yeah, that's my defense for it. Was I wrong? Absolutely. But that's what happened, and it's just there. It's a deadly team in LA right now.
Now, Andrew, before I throw it to you about the Dodgers and Brewers series, I wanted to ask Brennan and Carson
Go
very
for it.
quick on their thoughts on it and who would they potentially face in the World Series? Because I know Carson, a couple weeks ago, we had asked you about like who's your AL kind of sneaky team to make a deep push into the playoffs, and you said the Seattle Mariners when you were on the episode a couple weeks ago. So either Brendan or Carson, who wants to give their thoughts on this Dodgers and Brewers series?
Ladies first.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'll go. I think Chase kind of hit on everything in terms of the pitching. Just watching the Dodgers, the way their starters competed on the mound and gave so much quality length. I know a lot of times they talk about starters giving length, but the length they gave with the quality starts paired with it was, is the reason they're going to the World Series. And I just don't see anybody really stopping, what they've got going. When you got guys as talented as they are, pitching with as much confidence as they've been pitching with, I think it's just really, really hard to win, to beat that.
Carson?
I piggyback off of everybody. I mean, when your star-studded lineup is hitting the way they're hitting, and then you get pitching, it's hard to beat them. I think Seattle's going to close it out tonight to solidify my pick.
I hope so.
But I think the Dodgers win in 5 in the World Series. I think their World Series was really against Philadelphia because I thought,
Oh, yeah.
Philly was better than Milwaukee. So yeah, they won their series couple weeks ago, and they've only lost one game. Every series it hasn't even been a sweat for them. So they're really good. I know people talk about how they spend so much money. Well, every owner has the opportunity to pay players, and
Hmm.
look at the Mets. I think they're the second, or say either the second, in payroll or first, whatever. But they missed the playoffs.
Yep.
Baseball, anything can happen. Injuries, guys underperforming. So it's all that payroll crap. Listen, you still got to go out there and perform. So, Dodgers are
Absolutely.
going to wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I'm with you, Carson, on
Hope
that,
so.
man. I'm not buying. And you know what? I gotta respect the Dodgers for just fully embracing the whole uh idea that they're ruining baseball with all this insane money that they've got floating around there. But you said it, baseball, there's no cap space. Every team has a liberty to go out and do the same thing, but teams just don't. And as far as Milwaukee goes, I mean, I will say a sweep was completely off my board. I was expecting a little bit more from Milwaukee just because of how perfect they play the ABC baseball. I mean, they're not a home run hitting team. I mean, they've hit quite a bit in the postseason, but leading up to the best record in baseball, they just knew how to get runners on. They knew how to produce run or hits when they had runs in scoring position. But you look at games 1 and 3 of the series. I mean, the Dodgers, they just chipped and clawed. They got key pitching outs, and they had enough offense to put pressure on Milwaukee. And I think that's where Milwaukee fumbled because the Dodgers pitching staff handled the Brewers the top of that order very well. I know it was that top heavy part of their starting not nine that got them past that Chicago series, especially when they traveled to Wrigley Field. But LA's lineup, I mean, they took advantage of a lot of key mistakes and timely extra base hits. And then look at Game 4. I mean, there once the Dodgers go up 3-0, you know the series is over. But then you put a Tawny on the mound in Game 4. I mean,
And
you
at the
talk about a
plate.
two-way masterpiece. Three long home runs that had insane exit velocities, insane distance. And then he goes on the mound, throws 6 scoreless innings, had 10 strikeouts. That's to me, that's the most extraordinary single game postseason performance I have
Oh,
ever seen in the.
100%.
I mean, there's nothing
Oh,
that even touches close to it.
It's funny because honestly, like look at games 1 and 3. Sohei Ohtani was actually very
Yeah.
unproductive. He at the plate he struggled that whole series against Milwaukee, but it comes around to Game 4 and he basically was the Dodgers that game, and he did so much on that game alone that he won the NLCS MVP solely on his Game 4 performance. And that just shows how like even when you think of Tony struggling, when you think he's in a slump, look how quickly he can turn around. Now he's carrying so much momentum into the World Series, and not to mention I mean whether Seattle wins tonight or try to force his Game 7, Dodgers have a pretty solid break here. They're getting a lot of rest right now, and then the winner of this AL series is going to have to turn around very quickly to play the stacked Dodgers team in the World Series. So everything is stacking up towards the Dodgers to go back to back here.
Yep.
yeah, we always talk about having a break in between series and stuff, and there's always mixed reactions when it comes to that
Yeah.
because you want to build momentum when going back to back series. Because when you're playing a game from like 2 days ago and you do extremely well, and it just carries on into the next series, and then you've seen teams struggle like the Philadelphia Phillies back in like 2023 or in 24
22.
when they had 22 as well when they had a long break and just couldn't continue the
Yep.
momentum they originally had. And you've seen it there. And I think the Dodgers are a solidified team to win the World Series. They were my preseason pick. Boston Red Sox were my American League pick, but that went to crap. But so that was kind of tough. But I do want to throw it back to Brennan and Carson very quick as we get into this Seattle Mariners and Toronto Blue Jays rest of the series. Seattle is up 3-2. What do the Toronto Blue Jays need to do after, what do they take away from the first 5 games of the series to potentially come back and continue momentum into potentially an AL championship berth?
Carson, you go ahead.
All right. Well, I think, most importantly, it starts on the mound. They need a quality start. They're at home to get the fans engaged. And I think, jumping on Seattle in the first inning. Springer's been really notoriously known for, leading off with a home run or double. So I think, that offense really piggybacks off him. So that's what I think. In order for it to make a Game 7, they're going to need a quality start and, to get the fans engaged early.
Absolutely. And I guess I do want to say I want to give a nod to the Seattle's pitching staff and just their pitching strategy, not just the series against Toronto, but really this whole postseason. So a thing to kind of take a note here is that I look back at the series previously against Detroit. They all season Detroit's the weakest pitch at the plate for Detroit was the slider, and then 80% of that series the Seattle pitching through slider. It was slider heavy, and it got him through the series. And especially that's what I think was a big reason. Andrew and I know we're staying up late to watch that 15 inning game five that got Seattle to the ALCS. And Andrew, I don't know if you can tell me. I don't know who was it on the mound. I think it was the 13th inning for Seattle. Any
Who,
idea who it
who,
was?
who was pitching for the Tigers?
No, for the Mariners in the 13th inning.
Was it Gilbert or
It might have been Gilbert. It might have been.
Or
But
Castillo. Did Castillo come in?
oh, it was Luis Castillo. That's right, because they were bringing starting pitching the 13th. It was Luis Castillo, and they were facing. It was Yadi Baez who's batting ninth, and they went back to the top of the order. And Castillo, I believe, got out of the inning in like 16 pitches, and 14 of the 16 pitches he threw were sliders. And he struck out Baez, and I think he struck out Chapman too. Going slider heavy. But then you look at this series against Toronto, and it's a completely different thing. The changeup is the weakest pitch for Toronto to play, and the majority of the pitches they've been throwing is changeups. So it's like it's textbook stuff for Seattle right here. They're just simply looking at what they struggle with the most at the plate, and they're just attacking it. They're hitting it with them heavy. It's been working. I mean, that's what got Seattle in my opinion, through the first two games of the series to even come back home with a 2-0 lead. And then Toronto, of course, countered it, tied the series up before Seattle won game five. But I think just pitching wise, I think that's just been the biggest part for Seattle so far. And I think that's what's going to propel them into the World Series. I don't see Toronto winning the next two here. Game five, I think just gave Seattle tons of momentum. Suarez finally has his bat going again.
Yeah.
There's momentum on the offensive side of Seattle now. And I'm very interested to see how Toronto counters and rebounds for that game five loss. And at the plate, I feel like they're going to struggle tonight, but we'll have to see.
It's going to be interesting because I mean, the one thing that I like about Seattle going into game six is Gilbert is on full rest now because he had an earlier outing in game two of the series, but he exited just after 3 innings and he allowed multiple runs, but he was on short rest before that start. And now that he's back onto his normal schedule, I think he has a better chance of settling in. And you said it, Chase. Cal Riley and Suarez both had their big swings in game five of that series to get them that 6-2 win. And now you got to look at Toronto, what they've got on the mound, because they've got youth, trying to lead the way.
Trey Yesavage.
Yeah, and he's talented. Listen, he's
been great this postseason. He's been phenomenal.
He's talented, but the problem is when it comes to Trey Yesavage going against the Seattle Mariners offense, they figured him out earlier on in this series. So unless he counters back, and every time that Yesavage has faced the Seattle Mariners, which has been twice, once in the regular season and once in the playoffs, they've been able to figure him out. So, I mean, we talk about teams and we talk about opposing hitters being able to figure out certain pitchers, and unfortunately, Trey is one of the pitchers that Seattle was able to figure out this season. So I don't really know, and I can maybe see Seattle clinch it tonight. Seattle was my World Series pick, but I'm just not really too sure. I want to kind of ask Carson and Brendan to see what their predictions are for Seattle and Toronto tonight. I know Carson said the Seattle Mariners, so I guess I'll ask Brendan for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Seattle wins it tonight. I think the only reason the only way Toronto can salvage this game tonight and get to a game seven is they have to hit early to give Savage a little bit of some padding. Just because he's young, it's gonna be the environment, the pressure, it's gonna be there. And to give him a little bit of, get him a lead early and let him settle in is, I think, the only hope Toronto has to win. But I just don't see Logan Gilbert giving in that early. And I think Seattle's going to jump on Savage pretty quick. And I think they're going to win it tonight and move on.
Yeah, if you ask me, I think we're going to figure out in the first 3 innings who might take the series because I think you said it. Gilbert to me, if they want to get the upper edge on Seattle, I think he's got to get Vlad Guerrero out of his rhythm very early. Intentionally walk. You got to make him earn it. You can't just let him get easy passes on the base like he's been getting all series long. And Yesevich, I know he got hit around by Seattle the last time he was on the mound, but to me, he still has a high strikeout ability. I think it really just comes down to his splitter and his command because that's what really set him back the last time he was on the mound. Because if he can land his breaking pitches and avoid early damage, I think the Jays could stick around. But if he leaves early, then that Toronto bullpen becomes a major vulnerability. So I think it really just depends on how long he can stay on the mound and if he can land those breaking pitches. But if not, I think Seattle will take it tonight.
And that's a good point, Angie. And in the regular season, he had some trouble making it to the fifth, sixth inning. And then against the Yankees in the previous series, all of a sudden he had 10 strikeouts through 4 innings. And like you said, Angie, it's all on his breaking pitches, his off speed. If he has control on his off speed, that's going to keep him on the mound longer. But then, like John Snyder said after the Game 5 loss, looking forward to Game 6, he said that anybody's available. He said that the bullpen's ready, they're well rested, so anybody's available. They're not going to hold any arms back tonight, and they can't because. But the thing is Toronto really struggles when they have to go in their bullpen early.
Yeah.
Like they really need Yesevich to go at least 5, 6 innings here to me if they want to force a Game 7. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing to look for. I think if Seattle can get him out of the game before the fifth or sixth inning, I think that's going to give them the most control.
Yep.
Now, very, very quick before we get into our snake draft, and I know Carson, I forgot to mention we were doing a snake draft this episode, but we're doing drafting best World Series, not World Series players, World Series alone. So like
Mm-hmm.
2000, 2006, blah blah blah,
And
and
uh,
so on forth. But I do want to ask y'all very quick about this, kind of not relating to the playoffs, but Tennessee baseball head coach Tony Vitello is being named the lead candidate for the San Francisco Giants managerial position. And I know a lot of people have mixed reactions when you have a college baseball head coach, who's, by the way, been phenomenal at Tennessee during his tenure there, kind of making the transition from baseball head coach at a collegiate level to the MLB level when MLB is one of the hardest sports and baseball sports to go pro in. Like, I mean, you have single A, double A, high A, and all that stuff like that. What are your thoughts on the Giants potentially hiring Tony Vitello, starting with either Brendan, Carson, or whoever?
I I like it personally. I mean, for me, I was always a mixed. Like, I didn't know how I felt about Vitello just watching on TV and seeing the headlines on Twitter and stuff like that. But seeing it in person this past season, playing against Tennessee and
Yeah.
just sticking around for pregame and seeing how that is operated and all that stuff, and actually knowing a couple guys personally that played for him. Um, I'm a big fan of him. I mean, one example I saw is after batting practice, like he's picking up baseballs. Like, legendary coach should have no bit. He should be in the locker room after BP getting changed, and he's helping pick up baseballs, and he's hitting fungos, and he is all in. Whether he's playing LSU on a weekend or West Georgia on a midweek, which to me was so impressive, and I think any player should want to play for a guy like that. And moving into professional baseball, well, Major League Baseball, it's a lot of older guys who kind of sit back and write the lineup and handle media and do those little things, those things. But for him, I think a younger guy to step in and kind of bring a little bit more of that fire to a MLB organization, I think is a cool thing, and I'm really excited to see how that turns out for the Giants.
Carson.
it's very unique, and definitely when I saw it at first, I was like kind of blindsided because of he's built an empire there at Tennessee. Um, and not sure as far as like a financial boost what it would be, and it really comes down to his personal goals. If he's always wanted to be an MLB coach and win a World Series, you know, those opportunities don't come around a while. if it doesn't work out, I'm sure Tennessee would welcome him back with open arms. So, um, I think he gets a lot of respect from the players. He's not, a guy. I think he seems to genuinely care about guys. He's not like a Kevin O'Sullivan. Um, so I think it'd be a good move. I think it'd be exciting for a Giants fan. They need some youth, some energy. I wish the Braves would go after him.
Really,
You
that's the
know,
truth.
and every time they have a fossil of a coaching that team, and I think they could use some youth. But yeah, definitely cool and very interesting.
Brian Dybowski to the Braves.
I like what you guys said though about the whole youth aspect of it because I understand it's a big shift. But I mean, if you look at Vitello, he's not even 50 yet. I think he's actually just 47 years old. But just look at what he's done under his tenure at Tennessee already. I think he's got almost 350 career wins in just less than 10 seasons. I think he's heading into his ninth season this upcoming year. But he took the Vols to their first national title in 2024, and he's just overall recognized for building culture, and of course recruiting and developing players is such a big aspect at the collegiate level. But if you're the Giants, I mean, you guys said it, I'm looking at bringing a younger manager who operates with a very high motor. And look, I know it's risky. He has no MLB experience, he has no coaching experience in the pro ranks at all, and he has even served as let's see. I don't think he has any minor league experience. I'd have to look into that, but I doubt he does. But a transition to college head coach to MLB manager is very rare because the roles and environments are different. From roster control, there's a larger staff, and just a lot that goes into it. And I mean, he's got a big contract under Tennessee. I think he extended it to $3 million, which is a lot for a college baseball manager. So I mean,
Right.
and he has significant control over the program. But if I'm Vitello, I'm taking the opportunity because I mean I think I can imagine it's probably every college baseball's manager's just dream to become a pro level manager at some point, whether it's minor league or MLB. And I think if the Giants are willing to throw him a contract, I think you take it because I think youth is definitely what the Giants are looking for. So I would like the move personally.
And I think
Yeah,
Carson and Bruin. Oh, go ahead, Jackson. Go ahead.
I was going to say very quick with Tony Vitello. Yeah, he has no pro experience. He
I didn't
started
finish
with
that.
in 2003, and he's been at the collegiate level ever since. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
no
I
pro
thought so.
experience.
When I was looking into this, I kind of wanted to see both sides of it because it is very controversial. But I think Carson and Brennan hit it on the head. But he's a very relational guy, very in the player development. I think the young player development was the biggest aspect. I think the biggest attraction for the Giants. And when I was looking into it, everybody was saying that there's a lot of prospects on the Giants like Bo Davison, Bryce Eldridge that the Giants want to use to set the foundation because they're obviously going in a different direction now completely after firing Bob Melvin and missing the playoffs again. They want to get this young talent that they have. They have a lot of good prospects. I think it takes a guy like him that with good player development, a very relational guy to help push the Giants in the right direction. But this is actually the first manager in MLB history to hop right into a manager position with no MLB experience whatsoever. The first time this has ever happened. I think that's the only downside that I really see from this. But for me, I don't see that as much of a problem. I think
No,
he
yeah,
It's
could.
in yeah.
the game's still the same.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it might be a different beast in terms of the skill level you're working with and kind
Anyone
of
can
like
adjust.
and
Anyone
how
can
you
adjust.
play and I think if anyone's going to adjust, it's him. He knows the game enough to know exactly what to do, and it would not shock me if we see instant success from him at San Francisco.
I wouldn't say anyone could adjust. I mean, Oliver Marmol came from college, and you see what he's doing with the St. Louis Cardinals. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, you know,
I blame your front office, Jackson.
Yeah. Come on now.
everything outside of that. Again, I'm only wearing the hat because of the fit. But
You
anyways,
got you look. St. Louis really has one of the best farm systems in baseball, but he's keeping them stuck down there, dude. If I'm have control over St. Louis, dude, I'm calling everybody up next year, and I'm finding what pieces fit because you guys have so much talent down there, but you won't touch them. That's y'all's problem. You just won't touch them.
yeah, that's a conversation for another day. Now we have about 6 minutes left in this meeting, and let's do two World Series per person, due
Nice.
to just the time constraints. Now, Carson already chose the order for his episode, and now I want to have Brendan Parks choose the order. We do it in a snake draft on who's going to draft first to last, and then last to first, and it just keeps going back and forth. So, Brendan, who's going to be the order for best World Series snake draft?
So I'm just gonna go like put you all in order. Okay. I'm going first.
Selfish.
Fair enough. Can't argue with that.
We'll go. We'll go Andrew second.
That's what I'm talking about.
We'll go Jackson third. Chase fourth. Carson, your last.
Good. I get the
All right,
back
that's
to back.
perfect. All right, Brendan. Your first pick. We have 5 minutes left in the meeting. If it goes over,
I'm gonna go with best World Series. I like the Cubs and the Indians. I think that was 20.
Oh,
2016.
2016,
Yeah,
I believe.
2016. I don't think anyone has any debates over that.
That was literally going to be my number one pick. I mean, yeah.
That would have been my number one.
That's literally 100.
But Andrew, wait.
I mean, you know what, Jackson? I'm going to take it so you can. Give me the 2011 World Series, Game 7, Cardinals versus Rangers. Game 6 was probably one of the best games in MLB history. So that alone sets it apart. So give me that World Series.
That was unfortunately my pick.
I know.
And
That's why
I really hate you for that. But I want to take with my pick actually in recent memory, just so Chase can't take it. I'm gonna go with the no, I'm playing. I'm not gonna go with the Braves
I
World
didn't
Series.
think you would.
I'm gonna go with the 2014 Giants World Series because it was a back to back to back, well, reversal, well, every other year. But Pablo Sandoval and Hunter Pence that year was absolutely phenomenal.
Bumgarner
Matt
too.
Bumgarner had a stellar performance. So Chase,
I'm gonna throw it all the way back to before I was born in 2001 between the Diamondbacks and the Yankees.
That
Do
one
you
hit.
remember had one of the best Game 7s in World Series history? Luis Gonzalez walk-off single, one of the greatest hits. And the greatest hit in Arizona history, one of the greatest hits in MLB history. Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling, they were the MVPs that year. It was also the first World Series since after 9/11. So it was just all around a very emotional World Series for the whole United States. So I think that's probably the most emotional.
Didn't Rivera blow the save in that game too?
Yeah.
He might have. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
Carson, your back-to-back picks.
Game 7, Astros versus Nationals.
Nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
I like it.
Oh, Jesus. I would say Dodgers, Red Sox. Was it 2017 or
2018.
18, yeah.
Yes. That's perfect.
Okay.
Chase.
Thank you for picking me last, Brendan.
Screw up.
We'll eat cookies
Chase.
this weekend to celebrate.
Good.
Chase.
That's me. I'm sorry. I forgot I was next. I think, man, oh man, oh man. Let's go. You know what? Even though it's very controversial because the Astros completely cheated,
It was
a great series.
That was one of the most high powered. I don't think I've ever seen more offense in World Series than that was 2017, right?
Yeah.
2017 World Series. Yep.
I'm gonna go with my second and final pick. It's very, very tough. But I'm actually gonna throw it to before I was born as well, back in the 1990s. I'm gonna go the 1991. I actually remember not watching this, but seeing highlights. I was not alive. Twins versus Braves in 1991 with Jack Morris's 10 shutout innings to win the game 7 of the World Series.
Yeah, okay.
1991.
I was actually going to touch pretty close to that area. I was going to go 1997, actually. The Marlins versus the Indians. That one went to Game 7, only because, the Marlins were an expansion team. You had Edgar's walk-off single in Game 7. What's his name? Nagy, I think is his name. Absolutely stunned Cleveland. And I think that that did cap off the massive Cinderella one from Miami that just emerged out of nowhere. And I'm not wrong. I do know a Marlins fan, so Jackson Schrader.
Schrader.
Yeah. All right, Brendan, your final pick to cap off this World Series snake draft.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take the 2021 Braves. That wasn't taken yet, was it?
No.
It has not been. No.
That was near and dear to my heart and really exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and take them. And it was an awesome series, I thought.
It was.
Yeah, it was an awesome series.
So
The Cardinals haven't won since 2011, so it's sad when I watch baseball. But Brendan and Carson, thank y'all so much for taking time out of y'all's day to do this episode. This will be up around 6 p.m. And we hope to see y'all at homecoming. Carson, I know I'm going to see you. Brendan, can we
I
expect
will
to see
be
you there?
Oh yeah, we're together this weekend. I'm staying
Most
with him.
likely, wherever you see Carson, you'll see me.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Weekend.